for it to all connect.
Okay.
Okay, I think we are live. So welcome everybody to yet another day of live stream conversation with interesting creative people. I'm Marta. My company's called Cultured Innovations. We're really here to talk about how the lives of creative people really work. And what better time than now to really go into depth. So I'm joined here by the incredible Amanda Crider. And Amanda, tell us just a little bit about you and kind of what you're up to.
Okay. Well, I am a professional singer. I sing mostly opera and concert with symphonies, recital work, things like that. And then 6 years ago, I founded Lumen Arts, which is a concert series here in Miami. And we tell stories through music and art.
Amazing. Has it been 6 years already? My goodness.
This is the end of our 6th season.
And we met because one of the first Lumen Arts performances was at the Bakehouse, where I used to be the executive director. So,
that's right. Marta, you gave us our first public performance, actually.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. What an honor. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I actually see one of our Bakehouse artists at the time, Patricia Schnall Gutierrez, is actually watching on live on Instagram. So just wave to Patricia. Hey, that's awesome. So bringing art into different spaces, tell us more about why you were inspired to do that.
Okay. My passion is music, classical music. I started playing the violin when I was 2.5. Piano when I was 6. My mother was a musician, so she had us singing in choirs and everything. And I could not imagine my life without music. It was like my place of refuge. Whenever I was growing up and needed some time to myself, I would go and practice and just express my emotions through music. And I wanted to figure out, when I moved to Miami 12 years ago, which I cannot believe it's been 12 years. I know. I wanted to figure out a way to bring it to my community in a way that made sense for my community. And I understand that times are changing and attention spans are changing, and the way we receive classical art forms is also evolving, and I wanted to be part of that evolution. So I thought about Miami and the kind of spaces we have here to present music or just present art in general. And we have an incredible visual art community here. So many art spaces, museums, galleries, incredible things happening, especially in the contemporary art field. And I thought, what if I bring the music into these spaces and curate the music around the art that's in the space? And it has grown over the last 6 years so much. We've come to really approach social justice issues in our programming as well, which is meaningful not only for me, but also for my board. And it's become such a fulfilling creative outlet for me. And I love the way the community is responding to it.
That's amazing. I have seen so many really thought-provoking performances, and sometimes in surprising places. Like the last one I can remember really being just like this surrounding, I mean, everything you do is immersive, and I haven't been to all of the concerts, but there was one that was in the design district, and there was this screen, and there you could see the shadows, and the kind of narrative of the music just was very visual and very visceral, and the piece was like very provocative, but I don't mean racy, I mean like it really like dug into me. And you couldn't help but just feel completely immersed in this space. I just thought that that was extremely clever and obviously very moving. So tell us more kind of from the artistic side, like how do you, this is not just singing straight with the piano into a room, like tell us more about how you design the experience, because the experience is really something that is so unique to what you're describing and what inspired you to do this.
Thank you. When I'm presented with a visual artist to take inspiration from, I really do my research. If they're living, I try to get to know them as well as I can. We've only taken inspiration from a few artists that aren't living, just because the art scene here in Miami is so contemporary. But that has been incredible to get to know the artists. And so uh, part of my creative process is just trying to wrap my head around what would be the best experience for the audience to understand this visual artist's work through music, so that both the art and the music gets a different portal into each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the program you were describing was a program we called Jewel Box, celebrating queer diversity. And the artist we were highlighting, he's a stained glass artist, but he also does work with projections and stained glass. So he was manipulating the stained glass while the performance was going on these screens. We had an incredible singer, and I planned the music to tell a story, to tell a narrative. Art song, for the viewers who aren't familiar with it, is poetry set to music. So each song is like a little story within itself, and they're about 3 to 5 minutes long. So I string them together to tell a narrative throughout the show. And yeah, it's been so incredible to get to explore these different artists. Another artist we highlighted was Ana Mendieta, who is a Cuban American artist. Her work is very provocative, feminist, earth-based. So we had 7 women involved in the program. It was called A Female Force, and we staged the whole program. A lot of the programs do have an element of staging, so it is definitely not just a singer standing at a piano. Mm-hmm. We try to place the audience, if they are seated, in a way that is kind of in the round. We've also had performances where the audience is moving around the gallery. We just did one at the ICA Miami in the fall with the artist Paulo Nazareth. He's a Brazilian artist, and his work is extremely political. So we had, I should have brought my props with me. We had protest signs that the singers and musicians were carrying. It was completely immersive. The audience just followed the singers around the gallery. It was actually one of my very favorite performances we've done.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Also, just a bit of history between us is that we were at Manhattan School of Music at the same time.
Yes.
And I believe we were at like a graduate wine and cheese mixer or something. I do remember meeting you. Manhattan School of Music is very small. There are only about 900 people enrolled at any one time. Perhaps that's changed, but how fun that we have since gotten to know each other a whole lot better. And that's kind of the nature of Miami, right? Being in the arts here. So tell us, this has been, I'm sure when you're at Manhattan School, you probably had no idea you'd be doing this kind of work, which just has taken the imagination for, I think, visual art and classical music, art song into new places. So tell us kind of what your big takeaway is for doing this, from doing this for 6 years. What have you really learned?
Oh my gosh, how long do we have? Okay, it's so funny. When I was starting at Lumen Arts, I have a good friend in New York who had started a wonderful concert series there called Five Boroughs Music Festival. His name is Jesse Blumberg. And when I was thinking of starting a Lumen Arts, I called him and I said, Jesse, I'm thinking of starting a concert series in Miami. I'm going to call it a Lumen Arts. What do you think? And he said, it's going to take over your life. So I've learned everything from how to start a nonprofit, how to build a board, how to write grants, how to fundraise. I think my own creative voice and programming has grown over the 6 years substantially. I take more risks as a leader. And yeah, just my overall purpose and mission with the company has grown so much. No, I always thought that I wanted to start something. I didn't know what it took. And I I think the idea was really born, I think it was 2006. I was doing a program with Marilyn Horn at Carnegie Hall. The Song Continues.
Mhm.
And we did a bunch of roundtables about how to bring art song into our communities. And that's where like the seed of the idea was planted, like, maybe I should try to do that one day. I love this music so much. How can I make it relevant in the 21st century? So yeah, what I've just learned an incredible amount of things. I can make like a 20-page document for everyone.
Okay, that sounds good. We'll follow up. But I do want to point out something you just said, which is when you started in Lumen Arts, you didn't really know what you were getting into, right? But you felt the impulse to create and share
Mm-hmm.
and to just pursue this idea. So you have had to figure out all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So as a kind of one-person team, one-person executive director,
Mm-hmm.
how do you manage that with a full-time career as a working artist, traveling all around the country to sing in operas and all sorts of different kind of performances?
Yeah. Um, Sometimes better than others. uh, it's been a busy 6 years, but it's so fulfilling on every level. I love performing, and if anything, it's brought perspective to my performing career that now I can see what a company goes through on every level. So it gives me a greater understanding of the companies that I go to sing for. The older I get and the further I get along in my performing career, the just more grateful I am every time I get to get up and make music with people. Something I miss so much right now, being stuck in my beautiful home. Um, but I miss making music with people. And it's been, the balance has been difficult. I'm not gonna lie. It has at times been insane where I take the red eye from a performing gig back to Miami to start producing the next morning and sleep 3 hours and then have rehearsals for 4 days and put on a show. And it's a lot. But in those moments when I'm kind of most busy and most creative is when I feel most alive.
So how do you get through it? Just knowing that that's what kind of feeds you, or because that's pretty rigorous, right?
It is very rigorous. I think luckily the summers are slower. So I kind of put my eye on the prize, like I'm gonna get to relax eventually. Um, but yeah, it has been rigorous. I don't know any other way to put it. Like I struggle for balance, but 2020 was the year that I was gonna try to find more balance. I was doing really well. So,
Well,
yeah,
now we have a whole different sense of what balance looks like, right?
that's right. That's right.
So tell us more. You've been doing some experiments,
Mhm.
and you've been making a real impact even in this confusing kind of unusual time. Tell us a little bit more about what you've been up to lately and the great results that you've gotten in some of your experiments.
Okay. Um, we, like many other arts organizations, had to postpone our final performance of this season. We were supposed to produce The Turn of the Screw by Benjamin Britten at Vizcaya Museum and Gardens. And it's a project we've been working on for probably 2 years. And so I'm so happy that Vizcaya worked with us to postpone and not cancel the performance. But that means that all of the performers involved in that performance did not get paid in May when they're thinking they're going to get paid. And so many, this time is so financially difficult for people across all job fields and the arts as well. And so I went to my board and I said, I want to figure out a way that we can help. And I think maybe we can do it through online concerts. If we give the artists that were not able to perform in May an opportunity to put on their own recital, 30-minute recital online that we host, and all of the ticket proceeds will go to the artist. We charge $5 a ticket. So it's it's not a huge investment, but it adds up. We raised $700 for our first artist, which felt amazing to be able to send a paycheck off to them. Um, People are also able to donate to Lumen Arts if they would like to, but this is really our mission is right now to support the artists. So it's kind of our own artist relief fund. And we have 3 more planned for this month and possibly adding more dates.
And what are those performance? That's amazing, and congratulations. It's like really, it's really an opportunity, and I think the response you've gotten has shown that people want to also support artists. Yes. There's so many people. I don't know if you've seen the memes going around the interwebs, but basically, right now in times of uncertainty, people are looking even more to film, theater, music. That dance party that we keep talking about with D Nice, that wouldn't be happening if there weren't people creating. So I think it's really beautiful to see how Miami has come out to support the artists. And the great thing is that you don't even need to be in Miami to participate. And thank you also for pointing out that you are a 501c3 nonprofit. Anybody can donate to you at any time.
That's right.
And yeah, so tell us a little bit more about the artists that are coming up then, the ones that you're going to feature going forward.
Sure. On this Wednesday, we have an incredible young singer. His name is Elijah McCormack, and he is a male soprano. He is going to be singing the role of Miles in our upcoming production of The Turn of the Screw at Biscaya. He sings mostly early music, so Baroque music, and his voice is so incredibly pure and beautiful. We have one of his videos on our Lumen Arts Instagram right now. And he is singing all French music of some very important but sometimes overlooked French composers, Nadia and Lily Boulanger.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And I'm really looking, girl power, yeah. He's really a special artist, and so I can't wait to feature him. And then the following week we have Misty and Alvaro Bermudez, who are Miami-based artists. Misty actually sang on a program at the Bakehouse.
Amazing.
Yeah, and she and her husband, he's a guitarist. They do these beautiful, like, heartfelt duets together. So it's a program of mostly Latin American music, and a couple of like jazz standards. Yeah, so that'll be a really special program. And then the following week on April 22nd, we have incredible baritone Jonathan Byer. He sang with Lumen Arts in 2018 on a program called Dresden, Hymn to Humanity. He's sung at Opera Frankfurt, the Metropolitan Opera, Chicago Lyric. He's an incredible singer. He also happens to be hilarious. He's been on a couple of TV shows lately, one on the Food Network.
Really?
Yeah, he was on Worst Cooks in America.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so his program, I believe, will be more in the like lighthearted, funny. He is truly a comedian, so it will be very entertaining. He's also very big in the ice skating world. He has a YouTube video blog called The Skating Lesson, which is like so popular. Whenever I go anywhere in the US with him, people stop him on the street and say, "Are you Jonathan Byer from The Skating Lesson?"
Amazing.
So, yeah.
This goes to show you kind of like, the way we started our conversation, that creative people have many ways in which they're creative. It's kind of like you can't limit the imagination to just one thing.
Absolutely.
So lots to look forward to. So soprano, a male soprano, jazz standards, and then Jonathan Byer, the worst cook in America, or skating lesson. How cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
Amazing. And so how can people find out more about how to tune in and donate?
They can go to our website, www.illuminarts.org. We also have information on our Facebook page and Instagram. And they can also contact us at info@illuminarts.org.
Amazing. Yeah. So I want to go back for a minute and just talk about fear and unknown things. So beyond what we're talking about here, I want to go back to that moment in time when you were with Marilyn Horn in the workshop at Carnegie, and you had this kernel of an idea. Now, a lot of people have great ideas and they're too scared to actually put them out there, especially if they're public facing, because then it's kind of like, well, if I don't get it 100% perfect the first time, I will live in shame my whole life, or whatever the stories are that we tell ourselves. Yeah. So you were able to actually transcend that initial fear, or that I don't know what this is going to look like, I definitely don't know what I'm getting into, to actually take the plunge. What did it take to actually take the plunge?
Whew. Gosh. I don't know. I think very early on in my life, I was, I don't know if blessed or cursed with this incredible sense of perseverance. I think whenever I'm talking to people about a singing career, I say it takes 50% talent and 50% perseverance. And I definitely think that translated into starting at Lumen Arts. Oh my gosh, I was just thinking the other day, I went to the Knight Foundation right when I was coming up with the idea of Lumen Arts, and I had a meeting with a dear friend of mine now, Dennis Scholl, who used to be the vice president of arts there. I wish I had a videotape of that conversation and how green I was without like knowing what I was getting myself into. Just like, I want to start a concert series and I think it's going to be great and raising money will be no trouble at all. But I think part of that like naivete worked for me, and just if somebody put a challenge in front of me, like, okay, now you have to form a 501c3 and fill out the paperwork to go to the government. I was like, okay, how do you do that? And I would Google it and I just figured it out. Now you have to write a grant. Okay, let me see. So the learning curve at the beginning was so incredibly steep that I don't think I had time to think about the fear. But something you mentioned has been a sort of thorn in my side, which is perfectionism. Especially in the beginning, it was impossible for me to enjoy the performances that we produced because I was such a perfectionist. And I just thought if something went wrong, I was like, it was totally not worth it. And then people would give me positive feedback and I just was like, I can't even take it. You know, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but you know. And I made a decision a few years ago that I'm bringing these artists and singers to Miami that I think are incredible. And I want to enjoy the moments with them. I want to enjoy their performances. They give incredible performances. So I made that decision a few years ago to just, once we get to the performance, let it go and be in the moment with the people who are singing and performing. And it has changed everything. It has changed everything. And I think now the performers are the perfectionists in the situation. And they come to me and they're like, oh, I missed that note. Oh, that song did not go well. And I was like, are you kidding me? The story you told today was beautiful. You moved so many people. And I'm so happy that I can recognize it now.
So what inspired that choice though? I mean, that's like a really deliberate thing to say like, okay, I'm actually going to be a different way, especially when training trained you to be in that kind of like critical mindset as you are going through a performance, like that could have been better. I missed that. Like, how did you just decide to make that shift?
I think when the like pain or uncomfortability of some way that you're going gets to be too much, I just felt like I have to try something different. This is not working. If I keep doing it this way, I'm going to stop doing it. And I don't want to stop doing it. So I have to change. I have to find a different way to form my thoughts around this whole process.
I love that, because you're also saying like you made a choice to be present. And it's so easy to get tangled into the dialogue that's always there. But to really fully be present is to allow yourself to get pulled into that story and to be kind of transformed. I always think like when you come out of a performance, you are transformed because there is space and energy that's created by the performers and by the people in the audience that wasn't there before. And it's like everybody's bringing something, and just the feeling in the air is different afterwards. But to be really present to that is not something that is natural to me without practice. So I just like admire that choice, and being able to really embody that information is amazing.
Thanks. I think I also started going to more performances, and when I'm sitting in the audience, exactly what you're saying. I feel changed by every performance I go to, and I just realized that I have to get my ego out of this situation and just be a servant to whatever is happening in the creative process.
Tell us more about that. What do you mean by that?
Um, I think that putting all that pressure on myself and thinking it's all about me and getting this perfect and whatever, it doesn't serve the art form. It doesn't. When I'm singing, for example, if I'm not being honest with myself or with the audience, I think they can tell. I can tell if a performer is giving from their heart, or if they're sitting there thinking, oh, that note was terrible, oh gosh, I can't believe I missed that. You can see it on people's faces. But when someone gives of themselves on stage, it's like the connection that you get is so important, the human connection. um, and I see it in the performers that come to sing for Lumen Arts, and it inspires me. So I just wanted to be, like I said, a servant for that, instead of putting any sort of, this has to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be human.
I love that. It doesn't have to be, I'm chills. Thank you. It doesn't have to be perfect, it has to be human. And what you're really talking about, I would describe that connection as almost like the performer, and that getting rid of your ego is kind of like being generous by being vulnerable and allowing that kind of like mask to come off to really, really connect.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
So just a couple more things. You are a performer. You talked at the beginning about like what that means now. So how are you balancing your own creation and your own sense of being an artist while being in service to this thing at Lumen Arts and being of service to other artists? Like, how are you managing all of that right now, especially since there are no audiences like there in the room for that kind of exchange of energy? Do you think it still can happen? Do you see it happening? Or take this any direction you'd like, Amanda.
Okay. Well, personally, I had a number of engagements also postponed or canceled, and what I'm missing, not only the financial part of it, but making music with other people.
Yeah.
And some of the organizations I sing with are trying to find ways for us to still do that, which is fantastic. And I said to one of the directors the other day that I was so happy to hear that that's what they were trying to do, to find ways for us to create together. I am practicing the piano a lot these days.
I
And
see it there in the corner.
yeah, I sing every day because, like any athlete, you have to keep yourself in shape. And I don't want these months to go by without, singing and keeping myself in shape. And I also love what I do. So my neighbors get to hear me. That's that's it right now. But yeah, I'm trying to find a way to keep the connection going on whatever level I can.
It's amazing. And that's so special. And I would love to be one of your neighbors and be able to hear you practice. What a treat, what a gift. And to be in a profession where you really are sharing your purpose and your gifts. And I think to do the work of being an artist, there's always a question about your ego and, what is this about? So, and also to be a founder of a nonprofit organization, I have to figure all those things out. That's also an ego check. And yes, you're right. Thank you for Google, because I've learned so much about running my own business on Google and YouTube. So there are resources out there, but I think it's just fascinating to see how humbling this whole practice can be, and to be able to stay inspired when the world shifts and kind of like dramatically alters our reality.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us one thing you're hopeful for or hopeful about on the other side of this whole COVID experience. What are you hoping for the better or hoping for the good?
I'm hoping for, I see what happens to our world community, and maybe this is like through rose-colored glasses, but when the arts are not available and the hunger that people feel for them. So I hope that a greater or renewed appreciation grows out of this time of lack. Um, I think it also probably for many performers, artists, has it has for me solidified in my mind like this is what I love. Like there tries to underline like why we do it, why we do it. I've never done it. I mean, come on, being an opera singer is not usually for the money. So uh, just a renewed sense of my own love for what I do and gratitude. Yeah, so I think that's one hope I have.
I love that sense of reaffirmation that if we're going to do the thing that we're called to do, to share our unique gifts and talents, what better time to do them than when the world is in chaos?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful hope. My gosh.
Hmm.
Amanda, this has been a tremendous conversation. It's been so enjoyable and so awesome to hear all of the work that you're doing in your own career and at Lumen Arts, and all the ways that you're finding to create with other people and to help uplift artists in so many ways. So, I'm tremendously grateful for you as a friend and for a fellow peer in the industry, but also your generous spirit and coming on and sharing of yourself without your ego here. No, but really to come and share is a vulnerable thing. And I totally appreciate what you have shared with us today. And any other thoughts to close it out?
No, Marta, just thank you. Thank you for your beautiful spirit and sharing about creativity and what we can accomplish.
Thanks, Amanda. Okay, thanks everybody. And stay tuned tomorrow. We'll have our friend from Estonia. We'll see you later.